Homeless people are a feature of big cities around the world, even on the wealthy European continent. The European economic crisis, which erupted in Greece in 2009, devastated millions of lives across Europe and lingered for years afterwards. In the summer of 2012, the devastation spread from Greece, Ireland and Portugal to Spain, Europe's fourth largest economy. The economic crisis left more than 5 million people out of work. In Barcelona, Spain's top city in terms of economy, there is a rising number of individuals finding themselves homeless. Poverty has forced them onto the streets. La Sagrada Familia is the crown jewel of Barcelona. It was designed by Antoni Gaudí, a Catalan architect known worldwide for his nature-inspired Art Nouveau designs. This distinctive piece is one of a kind. His brilliant buildings, scattered throughout the city, are vibrant and modern. The outstanding beauty of the city draws millions of visitors annually. In downtown Barcelona, we saw a small group of tourists with their tour guide. His face is wrinkled with character, his hair thinning, and the glasses make him seem more like a university professor than a tour guide. We could barely understand his rapid Spanish, but we continued walking alongside this group. The further we walked, the more curious we became. Most tourist destinations in Barcelona, which we had researched so well, are not on this tour's itinerary. There was none of Gaudí's distinctive and unique architecture. No museums, no harbours or beautiful Mediterranean beaches. The further we followed, the more bewildering it became. The guide led the group into the quiet and narrow alleys of the city, which didn't appear to contain much beauty or enjoyment. With curiosity, we booked ourselves onto this tour the next day to find out what it was all about.
People told me you are a guide tour, but you don't.
Yes.
You don't look like a typical guide tour.
No, I know.
Who are you?
I'm not a typical guide tour. I'm a guide tour that used to be a homeless, and I show what it is to be a homeless in Barcelona.
This is not a typical tour. It's a tour that takes you to witness the life of the homeless in Barcelona.
But what I show is a different Barcelona. Barcelona is not on the guidebooks. You're not going to find it on the National Geographic. You're not going to find it in the Wikipedia.
Right.
It's a Barcelona I know from being a homeless.
The homeless here may not look like those in other major cities with which we're familiar. Many of them are young men, seemingly intelligent and well-educated, but without employment. They're referred to as Ninis, which comes from the Spanish phrase ni estudia ni trabaja, meaning neither studying nor working. Our tour guide can speak 3 languages. He works for a private company and is pursuing a doctoral degree.
So you have a college degree?
Yes, I have a degree in English philology.
Huh? Really?
Yes. That's the first they put on the social services when I went there. And they made me the interview, and they told me, well, your name, your age, do you have any kind of studies? Yes, I have a degree in English philology. You have what? A degree in English philology, university. And what are you doing on the streets if you have a degree? And I was, there is something called crisis. I was out of money. I was without a job. I ended up on the streets. I just said that. And they were, you're kidding. And I told them, no, well, if you want, I can introduce you to the people that serve with me in the ATM. Why? Well, one is a lawyer, the other one is a... So I go on and they were, okay. How many people are you sleeping? 5. How many of you have a degree? 4. And they were.
Oh my God!
It was, yes, you begin to understand.
That economic crisis has altered the lives of many. More than half of Spain's youth found themselves jobless. Some were evicted, unable to afford the rent, while others have to rely on their parents. Some have no family to lean on, so they end up living on the streets.
I love them, they love me, but I go my way, they go their way. I went so down because of my failures. I'm going to get out by myself too. So it was a combination of pride and also of knowing that they were not of any use to me.
The person who came up with the notion of homeless tours is Lisa, a young British woman who has experienced the bitterness and severe impacts of the economic crisis. She was among many Europeans who migrated from their home countries to work in Barcelona. When the consulting company which employed her succumbed to the economic downturn, she found herself jobless like millions of others across Europe.
Came to work for a marketing consultancy, and I was working there until 2012. Then when I was on maternity leave, I have 2 small children, I was on maternity leave and then I lost my job. Okay, so this was the height of the crisis in Spain, so the height of the economic crisis with very high unemployment levels and very few opportunities for me to find another job.
After a period of unemployment, Lisa got the idea for this tour from her homeland, the UK, where tour companies are known to hire homeless people as tour guides.
So the idea is to say, okay, why don't we take the ever-growing tourism of Barcelona and take a small section of that and make it work to solve the homeless problem. Not all homeless people are sitting underneath a bridge drinking cartons of wine 12 hours a day. There are many people who do, but not everybody's doing that. There are people who are using the public libraries for internet, they're looking for work, okay? They're trying to get back in touch with their family members and friends, because that's also a part of integration. So when we talk about integration, it's not just work integration, it's social integration. Okay, so these are people who've got all ties with everybody. So we're trying to educate, challenge myths, okay, and change attitudes. Okay.
She established a small tour company called Hidden City Tour. This new venture not only provided her with an income, but it also created opportunities for the homeless and allowed the general public to experience and understand their stories.
It's very interesting because they're coming from quite a different background. They were teachers, they were even working in financial institutions. So
So the profile of a homeless person isn't what people often imagine to be. What we maybe had 20 or 30 years ago, so the typical man maybe in his 60s with a long beard, sleeping underneath a bridge, drinking every day with no studies. No.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. These days the profile is very, very different. Okay? And the idea of the tours is also to open people's eyes. Okay? So many people have never spoken to a homeless person. So when they do this, oh, but you're just a normal person. Well, yes, of course I am a normal person. Of course I don't have 2 heads. I'm a normal person who, in life's complicated decision tree, made some wrong decisions, had a sprinkle of bad luck, and lives within a society, our society, that is not able or does not want to provide answers.
This tour company attracted significant attention. Those who booked the tour were generally interested in the darker side of Barcelona, beyond its art, culture and beauty.
If you want to see more great content from all over the world, please like the video, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you.
Jose took us on a special tour to show us a different side of Barcelona, focusing on the lives of the homeless. We walked past flower stalls, hip cafes and brand-name boutiques, turning into narrow alleys. The historic and ancient district hides behind the beauty and vibrancy. It was quiet, desolate, nothing pleasant, and no one would think of coming here for a leisurely stroll. We followed Jose to a soup kitchen, which he once relied on, the public showers for the homeless, and the back lanes that serve as sleeping quarters.
The soup kitchen, there you have the
So this one
the showers.
Shower, right?
Yes, those are the showers.
So this belongs to soup kitchen.
So the soup kitchen, yes, is part of the soup kitchen.
And then after eating or before eating, you can come here.
Yes, on the evening you can come and get a shower here.
And an area known for gangs, criminal activities and drug use.
It was very violent. It was a place rife with crime, with drugs. Here, the less dangerous things, let me tell you the joke I was told once. The less dangerous thing you're going to get in the Raval is that you're going to get killed.
What?
And I remember,
Why you take me here?
because this is not longer that place.
This other side of Barcelona is nonetheless still a part of the city's history. It used to be a brothel, which closed down long ago. It's now being redeveloped to erase its old image. The tour that doesn't focus on beauty and excitement ends at an ATM by the side of the road.
So, the homeless sleep inside?
Yes.
Behind the door?
In some places they can do it. Why? Because they have a roof, they have a gate, they go inside and they are protected.
Because sometimes it's too cold to sleep outside.
Yes.
Right?
For instance, in December, January, February, temperatures go close to be 0 degrees. And then you have the dampness of the city, of the sea, making it worse. So you can be, for instance, at 0 degrees and you can feel that you are -10. And it's quite easy to get frozen if you are living on the street.
Jose explained to us that an ATM might just be a place to withdraw some cash to most people. But during the harsh winter nights it serves as a warm sleeping spot, enclosed by glass panels. It's safer than other places, as it's right in front of a bank. Although the homeless have to sleep amidst people coming and going to withdraw money, and the dazzling fluorescent lights throughout the night, this warm and secure place has become a much sought-after refuge by many homeless people. Sometimes they're disappointed because some banks don't allow the homeless to use it as a resting place. This non-pleasure tour program has been developed by formerly homeless people to find jobs for those on the streets and to share stories of the homeless with others. Who can understand how the homeless really feel better than the homeless themselves? Wolfgang, a former flower child or hippie from Germany, used to live on the streets because of his love for freedom.
Really, it started in the 70s. I'll be very quick. I was on the street. I was a young hippie, German, looking for truth and religion and everything in India.
So you were homeless
And so
yourself?
I was myself on the street, and those who took me in was a Christian community. And so I started to live with them. So in those days, I really found a new reason for living.
To live.
To live. And so that's why
Life on the streets, however, is not just about freedom. It's also about violence and drug addiction.
we were seekers, we were smokers, we looked into religion, and so many of us ended up in bad shape. People died, people got crazy, people had overdoses, and I was a survivor because somebody took me in, and it was a Christian community in New Delhi.
His strength, coupled with assistance from the church, have enabled him to quit drugs successfully. Nowadays he runs a small second-hand store in town. When he's able to, he opens a soup kitchen to feed other homeless people.
So one meal is comprised of bread, carbohydrate, and soup, and yogurt.
Yes.
That is enough nutrition for one person.
Yeah, well, we try to have a balanced, healthy food for the people. And again, telling them, you are a person and you are my brother. I call them brothers. They are my brothers from the street. And so...
It's very good cause.
Yeah, I think so.
Very good.
Everybody of us could be one day in this situation. We never know.
This soup kitchen isn't just about providing food. It's also about treating people with dignity, respect, and as human beings. The dining table is neatly arranged with tablecloths, plates, and utensils, just like at home or in a restaurant. They've created an atmosphere here so that people don't feel like they're begging for food. The day's main meal is usually soup and bread, mostly leftovers donated by restaurants and supermarkets. Wolfgang told us that today is a special day because his kitchen is serving paella, the famous Spanish dish. A truck from a restaurant parks in front of the shop, carrying a heavy iron pan which needs 4 people to lift. When it's almost mealtime, homeless people arrive. Freshly baked bread is piled in baskets on the table. As the weather's cold, everyone seems satisfied by the warm soup and fresh bread, followed by paella. It was indeed a special meal. Along the streets and in the dirty nooks and crannies of the city there are homeless people. Las Ramblas, Barcelona's commercial street, flanked by rows of shops, is bustling with people strolling, eating, drinking and shopping. A young man sporting a shaggy beard sits on the roadside with a large travel bag, a sleeping pad and a blanket. There are 4 plastic cups in front of him, each clearly indicating the intended use of the money, whether for buying food or cannabis. In Barcelona, cannabis is legal. Cannabis shops in the city openly sell weed and many homeless people seek it out. Even though they have to sleep on the side of the road, ask for food donations and never know when the next meal will be, they still haven't cut themselves off from it. Even when they're short of money, they still find ways to obtain it. These 2 men attempt to collect discarded marijuana-laced cigarette butts and then unwrap them. They scoop out the remaining tobacco and marijuana leaves and roll them into new joints. In addition to hunger, cold and grime, homeless people on the streets cannot avoid violence and drugs. Here, marijuana is legal, but there are also many other drugs available in Barcelona, including heroin, cocaine, amphetamines and ecstasy. Those who are not mentally strong enough can easily become trapped in the cycle of crime and drug addiction.
I was thinking, if I got drunk, this is not going to improve it anyway, so I don't need it. And also I don't want to be dependent on alcohol because I don't have the money, so I was having some kind of common sense still going on. And then I was offered pills for free, of course. First time, always free. It was, no, thank you, I don't have any pain. And then cocaine, like that. First wine, then cocaine, and I'm missing something. What is the hidden camera? This is some kind of joke? No, they were doing that. They were not real homeless. They were simply, I suppose, part of their drug business.
One way to get out of this cycle is to leave the streets and find a job. But finding homeless tour guides is a challenging task. Only a few can meet these requirements, as quitting drugs is notoriously hard.
The most challenging part of my job is actually finding guides. Okay, it's very, very difficult to find guides. We might have 3,000 people homeless in Barcelona, but I'm asking for a certain profile. I want people who are clean of alcohol and drug addictions, or at least are in treatment. I need people who are able to work, okay, who are fit, healthy, physically fit and mentally able to work. I need people who actually want to work, who want to form part of a small team, and also people who speak languages, okay? Because we know our tours in English, French, German, and some tours in Spanish, okay? So that's the most difficult part of my job. The most challenging aspect to help people is for them, I think, to want to be helped and to open their horizons.
Homeless shelters also impose various rules and limitations. Therefore, many homeless people seek freedom and are willing to exchange their dignity for food and a place to sleep on the streets. In José's case, his 3 years of homelessness almost destroyed him. Nevertheless, he refused to succumb to drug addiction and was determined to break free from life on the streets.
But you have hope.
Yes. If I didn't have hope, I would have died on the streets or in the shelters. When I tried to commit suicide for the first time, I would have managed to be successful. Without hope, I wouldn't be here, I suppose. And actually, I'm too stubborn to give up. I'm too silly to do that. When I see a translator job offer on the internet, I simply send my CV. I don't get any answers, but I try. Perhaps someday I will be lucky.
So it's still hard to get a job here?
Yes, the crisis is still a bit hard here. It's not as hard as perhaps 2 years ago, but it's still complicated. It's quite hard to go on. We're still suffering from it.
Becoming a guide for Lisa's tour company offered José a glimmer of hope.
Brought up by my mom to say, okay, I'm going to surrender now. No, I'm too and to stick.
Don't give up, okay?
Yeah,
You need to be here to inspire people.
if I didn't give up when I was on the streets, why am I going to do that now? But I'm better. So surrender is not an option.
There are still many people here in Barcelona referred to as Ninis, a significant number of whom have yet to escape the homeless lifestyle. Whether it's due to the lack of opportunities, a desire for freedom, or being trapped in the cycle of drug addiction, many continue to face hardships on the streets.
Bye. Have a good day. Not finish your sandwich.